All right, well, time for an update. I wanted to come back and let you guys know how things went with the orthodontist. So, day of my big appointment, had my adult braces put on. Uh, Lots of anxiety and just general unease over the whole thing happening, and I have to kind of work myself up to that. When you've had as many years of dental issues as I have had, you build up quite a bit of anxiety over just having work done in your mouth. So I have to get myself to that place where I'm like, all right, let's do this. I'm mentally prepared. We're gonna go. We're gonna have this procedure done. I don't really know how it's gonna work. I don't really know what they're gonna do or how they're gonna do it. Um, it's funny because both of my children have had braces, but they go in the other room, they come out, things are done. You don't see it, you don't watch. I didn't really understand the steps, the procedures, so I just kind of went in blind faith. We're doing this. So I get there, and they have me come back, get in the chair. First thing they do is a standing up full head x-ray. And then, draped in the usual lead blankets. And then you go back, and in the chair, they do a whole 3D model with this wand that goes all around your mouth and records everything, and then it comes up as this 3D model on the screen. It's pretty cool. So they got all of that done, and then they put the cheek spreader in, and they dry the teeth and kind of put this material on that etches them a little bit, which makes the brackets adhere better. So they get all this done, and they're ready to start attaching brackets. And then the suction stops working. So she's like, let me go check this. She's messing around with it, tries a couple things, doesn't work. I'm gonna go try the other chair. She goes over and tries it on the other one. Now they're not working. Go out back. There's like a half an hour of everyone walking around, messing with things, checking things, trying things. They finally come back. The orthodontist comes in. He's like, well, Laurie, I guess it's just not your day. Needless to say, I was devastated because they're telling me after everything I've, gone through to get mentally prepared for this, it's now not going to happen. And not only that, but I'm going to have to go through this again. That was tough. So I leave there. They're like, she doesn't need to come in early again, which that was the other part I forgot. I don't know if we've talked about this yet or not, but I'm a second shift girl, so I'm not a morning person. Really never been a morning person. Even when I was a kid in school, I struggled hard to get up in the morning. No matter what time I went to bed, for whatever reason, I'm just not. So I had to get up really early that day because they only do braces, in the morning because it takes a long time. And so I had gotten up early, I had psyched myself up, I had got there, and that wasn't going to happen. So they said, well, all right, we got all the x-ray stuff done, so she doesn't need to come back early a second time. So whenever she can come, just fit her in. So I'm like, well, thank God, at least there's that. So a couple days later, they found a spot. I had a spot. They booked me in. As it turns out, I had to work that night. So now I'm going in to have braces attached and no idea what's going to happen, how I'm going to feel afterwards. And now I have to go to work and teach a class. But I wasn't going to put it off any longer. It just needed to be done. So I did go in the second time. And when I got there, the doctor brings me, he says, first of all, the entire machine was dead. The whole system completely dead. Shows me this big giant box in this hallway. He's like, here's the new system. We had to buy a whole new system. He's like, but we haven't had it installed yet. So here's what we're doing. So he brings me into the back and he opens up like this, utility closet. And there's a giant shop vac in there. And they're using a giant shop vac. It's currently hooked up to the suction machine. So it works perfectly, but it's kind of hilarious because when you're in the chair, they're like, okay, turn it on. And someone's got to run out back and turn the fucking shop back on. And then come back, all right, we're done, turn it off. So it was hilarious, but it did the trick. And we now have braces. Well, top ones anyways. Whew! It wasn't too bad getting them on. It wasn't too bad the first day when I left, and I was very happy that I could talk and that I wasn't going to have to like have an adjustment period, because I literally had no idea what it was going to be like. So I went to my class, taught my class. The only issue is like the little sharp pieces that are meant to hold rubber bands were cutting into my cheek, and obviously that's, you know, brand new for them. They're not used to that. They're like, what's going on? And so talking all night made certain spots really raw. But my teeth didn't hurt, so that was good. So I got home and I started putting the wax on. They're like, this is going to be your best friend. And by the time I finished, like, basically the whole thing was covered. As soon as you cover one spot, you're like, oh, well, now I just feel this one. And then you cover that, and you're like, now I just feel this one. So I covered the whole thing. I'm like, well, clearly, this was not a good look. So we won't be doing that all the time. If I do it at all, it'll probably be at night when I'm home. I'm not going to see people. And, like, if it's bothered me all day, I may put some wax on a certain spot when I get home. But I'm not really going out with it on, because it definitely doesn't look great. It does work well, though. The next day, however, I don't know if it was the next day or 2 days later, but within the first 2 days, basically felt like someone had taken every tooth on the top of my mouth and pulled it from the jaw and loosened it. And then it dawned on me, yeah, that's precisely what we're doing here. I just had never thought of it quite that way before, but literally, you know, when he said eat soft food for a few days, I thought he meant, you know, because of the cuts on my cheeks or whatever, but, like, I couldn't put my teeth together for the first couple of days. Like, it was just crazy. So that slowly started to get better, and it started from the back first and kind of settled down and started to feel like I could chew on them again, and slowly worked its way up. The front ones have been the worst, and literally, I think it was just about a week ago that the front ones felt sturdy enough to bite on again. And I am on my way in about a half hour to go see them again for my first checkup and my first adjustment, which, again, I'm just assuming, but kind of know how this works, but I'm assuming that means they will tighten the wire, and we will move a little more now, and it will probably be the same way again for the first week or two. I'm guessing that's probably kind of how it is all the way through, but I'll let you know, because, I mean, like I said, I had 2 teenagers go through it, but, you know, teenagers are not the most communicative people, and especially when they're grumpy or hungry. So they tended to just keep to themselves if they weren't happy about it, and when they weren't talking about it. So I'm learning firsthand now what it's like to go through this. I will say the children are enjoying it. Does it hurt? Does it hurt? Yeah. Like, listen, we didn't put braces on you to torture you. This is not payback. I was jealous of you when you had your braces, like, genuinely jealous. Of course, I didn't know what you were going through, but I was jealous that you were getting it done. So I'm happy to be here. I know it's not going to be an easy road. I do think that it'll be worth it in the end, hopefully. I still only have the top on. The bottom brackets won't go on for another couple of months. They need room between my top teeth and bottom teeth, because the bite is so close now because of my clenching and driving my upper teeth outward. So they're pulling those back, and then once that gets to a place where they can fit brackets, then I'll have my bottom brackets on. And yeah, 18 to 20 months is the projected timeline. Being optimistic, I'm hoping, maybe they'll move fast and it'll be sooner, but no, my luck, it'll probably be a little longer. Either way, I'm still happy that we're finally here. It's happening. It's getting done. It's funny because one of the things that he said, well, the first thing he said when he finished was congratulations. And at first I thought that was a little weird, and then I realized, no, that was really appropriate. And, I mean, I've waited 51 years. Well, I wasn't waiting as an infant, but basically it's taken me till 51 years old to get to this point, and I have wanted to do this for a long time, so it felt good. It felt good to have someone understand and appreciate it. And then the next thing he said was, don't tell anyone. See how long it takes them to notice. So if you can tell, I did get clear brackets and clear elastics. So the only thing you can really see is the wire. And he's done such a good job placing them that even when I'm talking, I feel like, they hit my lip just right, where you really can't see them. So I went to work that night. The first I came home, I saw my daughter and my husband. Neither one said a word. Had completely forgotten it was the day. Didn't notice I had them on. Part of me thought it was fun. Part of me was annoyed. But I left, went to work, didn't say anything. Got to work. None of the assistants noticed. If they noticed, they didn't say anything. And then I actually went, I think 2 weeks. Well, it was the second day when my family finally was like, hey, did you get your braces on yesterday? And I was like, oh, yes. By the way, I did. Thanks for asking. And then they were like, oh, yeah, well, we didn't notice. And I mentioned it to my sister and a couple of friends when they finally noticed, or one person noticed, or it somehow came up. And my sister pointed out, she's like, well, the whole point of what you've done is that it's not very visible. Can't really be mad at people for not noticing. That's kind of the point. And I was like, you're right, basically. Although I can be mad at my immediate family because they live with me and they should know what's going on in my life. But, everybody else, I mean, I'm not expecting them to. And then someone else had mentioned that people may be embarrassed or too polite to mention them if they notice it. They may think it's something that I'm embarrassed about and I don't want to talk about, or I don't want people to know. I didn't go clear brackets because I wanted to keep it a secret, per se. I just didn't want it to be as prominent and as in your face as it would have been with the metal shiny brackets. But I'm not embarrassed about it. I'm actually really happy about it. So I wouldn't mind at all. But, I mean, they may not know that. People don't know that. So maybe some people noticed and were just too polite. But if people watch this, everyone will realize now that it has happened. It is done. At least halfway there. And once we got over the original adjustment period, it hasn't been too bad. Keeping them clean is tricky, but I'm learning. And it's more nerve-wracking to be eating somewhere out at a restaurant, because at home, I just come home and I swish and I spit and then I get my little brush and all that out. But, there's only so much of that you can do in a restaurant. So I try to be careful, go in the bathroom, check before I have a big, long after-dinner conversation. But I'm still adjusting, but it hasn't been that bad. And I definitely am glad that I did it. It's funny because every now and then I'll think about it and I'll still have that flash of anxiety. Like, oh, I've got to do this. And then I remember, no, you've done it. Like, we're past that. It's done. And then I feel really good about it. So it's kind of great to be at that point. Anyway, it's going to be a long road, and I will definitely keep you guys updated as we go. Like I said, I'm figuring out as I go, so I don't know what I don't know, and I'll share it with you as I learn it. But thank you for watching. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I hope that it will help some people who are or were in the same position as me as an adult, just unhappy with your history of what your teeth had been through and your situation through life. Maybe the money you had or didn't have to do things about it back then, and then you get to an adult and think, well, that's that. And I'm here to say it's not necessarily true. It's never too late, and I think that this is one of those things that I really needed to do, and it's going to be a really, really good thing for me in the end. So stay tuned. We'll see you soon.